The night started like any other, or at least, that's what Emily believed. But what she felt behind her in that quiet kitchen changed everything she thought she knew about loyalty, desire, and trust. In the heart of Brooklyn, New York, the warm glow of a pendant light bathed the kitchen of a modest brownstone. The clock ticked past 9 p.m., the hum of the city outside threading through the open window, the distant horns, the soft chatter of strangers passing by, and the occasional wail of a siren. Yet inside, the world was calm. Emily Carter stood at the sink, her hands submerged in warm, soapy water. Her auburn hair was tied up in a loose bun, stray strands framing her face, her hazel eyes softened by the rare quiet. She let herself breathe. The rhythmic scrub of sponge against plate was almost meditative, a reprieve from her day as a graphic designer filled with endless client calls and deadlines. These solitary moments, when she didn't have to be anyone's wife, friend, or professional, were her sanctuary. Her husband, Daniel, had stepped out a few minutes earlier, running to the corner store for milk and eggs. "Just 10 minutes, he'd said with that easy smile that had once made her heart flutter. He kissed her forehead before disappearing into the night. Emily smiled faintly, grateful for the space but already anticipating his return. For a moment, the world felt small and safe. The lemon scent of dish soap clung to her hands, grounding her. Streetlights bled hazy gold through the window, streaking across the wet pavement outside. Emily closed her eyes, inhaling deeply. Peace. It was rare, and she cherished it. Then, a sudden prickle at the back of her neck broke it all. Her breath caught. She hadn't heard the door. No creak of hinges, no footsteps. Yet the air behind her shifted, heavy and undeniable. Slowly, warmth pressed close, not touching, but near enough to stir the hair on her arms. Emily froze. She didn't need to turn around to know who it was. The scent gave him away, sandalwood and cedar, sharp and lingering. "Marcus," she whispered. Marcus Reed. Daniel's best friend since their NYU days. He had been at every barbecue, every birthday, every game night. Always Daniel's shadow, always their third glass at the dinner table. Familiar. Trusted. But this closeness felt different. "What are you doing here?" she asked, forcing her voice to stay steady. A low chuckle brushed her ear, soft but loaded. "Just checking on you," Marcus murmured. Her pulse quickened. She resumed scrubbing the plate in her hands, but the motion felt mechanical. "Daniel's just at the store," she said sharply, hoping the reminder of her husband's presence would pull Marcus back to reality. But instead, the silence thickened. She caught his reflection in the kitchen window, tall, broad-shouldered, with disheveled dark hair and piercing green eyes. But they weren't friendly, not tonight. They were searching, burning into her, peeling her apart. "You didn't say you were coming over," she pressed, gripping the counter. "Didn't want to interrupt," he replied casually, leaning against the counter, arms crossed. But his gaze never left her. Her chest tightened. His eyes traced the curve of her neck, the slope of her shoulders. It wasn't an accident, it was deliberate. A predator watching prey. "You're always so busy," he added, his voice lower now. "Daniel leaves you alone a lot, doesn't he?" The plate slipped from her hands into the sink with a clink. Emily stiffened, turning her head slightly toward him. "What's that supposed to mean?" Marcus tilted his head, lips curling into a smirk. "Just an observation." But Emily knew better. He was testing her. Pushing her. And the most dangerous part wasn't just his audacity, it was the part of her that felt something stir in response. Her heart pounded. She wanted to scream, to shove him away. Yet a part of her was curious, unwilling to admit how his closeness had awakened something she thought she'd buried long ago. "Daniel's my husband," she said firmly, her voice steady though her hands trembled. "He trusts you. He trusts me." But Marcus stepped closer. His body radiated heat through the thin fabric of her sweater. His breath grazed her ear as he whispered, "Does he?" The kitchen shrank around her, walls pressing in. She felt trapped, torn between morality and something rawer, something she was ashamed to even acknowledge. Her body betrayed her stillness, a silence Marcus twisted into invitation. "You feel it, too, don't you, Emily?" he whispered. Her stomach dropped. His words sliced through her resolve, hanging heavy in the air. And the truth, the ugly, terrifying truth, was that yes, she did feel something. Not love. Not even desire. But awareness. A crack in her marriage's foundation. And Marcus knew it. Before she could respond, headlights swept across the kitchen wall. The sound of tires crunching gravel jolted her back. Daniel. Marcus stepped back in an instant, his expression cool, as though nothing had happened. See you around, he said lightly, and slipped out the back door just as Daniel entered the front. Hey babe, got everything we need? Daniel called, arms full of grocery bags, his smile warm and oblivious. He leaned in to kiss her temple, his embrace wrapping her in safety. You okay? You look flushed. Emily forced a smile, swallowing the chaos inside her. Just the steam, she whispered. Daniel laughed, launching into a story about the checkout line, his voice full of ease. But Emily barely heard him. Her mind replayed Marcus' words, his nearness, his knowing smirk. She hadn't crossed the line, but she'd stood too close to it. And she hated herself for not wanting him to leave. Days passed, but the memory clung to her. In meetings, on subway rides, even as she sat across from Daniel at dinner, Marcus's presence lingered like a ghost. A reminder of temptation, of betrayal that hadn't happened yet but felt inevitable. One night, as Emily poured a glass of water in the kitchen, the feeling returned, sharp and suffocating. She looked up, and her breath froze. Marcus stood outside the window, half his face lit by the streetlight. His gaze locked onto hers. A slow, knowing smile curved his lips. He didn't move. Didn't knock. Didn't speak. But the message was clear. This wasn't over. Emily's hand shook, the glass trembling in her grip. She wanted to scream, to run to Daniel, to expose Marcus for what he was. But her voice caught in her throat. Because deep down, she knew the truth. The real battle wasn't Marcus. It was herself. The questions clawed at her. What did she truly want? What was she willing to risk? When she turned back to the window, he was gone. But the shadow of him remained, burrowed deep into her thoughts. This wasn't just about Marcus. It was about her boundaries. About the cracks in her marriage she'd been too afraid to face. About the difference between loyalty and longing. And Emily knew one thing: the next choice she made could change everything.